妹子不落地，将生命历历，虚空很随意，放心当下。Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Good morning. My name is Heng Shi. Glad you're with us. Today is Saturday, April 20th. Here at the Gold Coast Dharma Realm. It's Friday evening back in California. And today, our Dharma request is going to come all the way from Sao Paulo, Brazil. So let me bring up our Dharma request page. Here we go. There we are. And I'm going to ring the bell 3 times and invite those of you who would care to do to bow with me 3 times, and then Vera from Sao Paulo is going to request Dharma. So let us do our 3 bows right from where you're sitting. Here we go. So first bow, second bow, and a third bow. All right, Vera, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it right now.
恭敬大德圣经，为是法会集切众生，清正妙法论教导我们，如何了生脱死力。不得了，速者无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahuri samya samputoshe.
Namo sadanto sushadaye alahodi samya samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Alrighty, Vera, appreciate the Dharma request. Thank you. We are here in the Gold Coast, and we'd like to respectfully acknowledge the Kumbumeri people of the Ugambi language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where the monastery is located. We pay respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. That's what we say in English. In Chinese, we say 我们恭敬地承认与冈贝语族的贡布马里人，是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Okay, all right. A little bit more protocol to get us underway here. Bell song. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法让万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报他那厚德。Okay. Well, by golly, there we are. We are underway for our lecture on the picture biography of Master Xuyun. 如果各位想听一种流利的普通话的翻译哈，那么各位呢，你的软体这个控制板的右下角有一个小地球，你就 interpretation 你就 click， 就那里你可以找到中文。我们这里有义工很发心把我所讲的英语呢翻译流利的普通话。Also, if you would like to hear a Vietnamese translation of my English words, please take a look. In the chat box, you'll find a link for the Vietnamese lecture and Vietnamese translation. So please do that. Also, if you would like to request Dharma, like Vera did just now, from all the way from Brazil, you can find a link in our chat box so that you can send an email to Chanyu, our fearless coordinator. She will happily set you up. You can request in both languages or one language, whichever you prefer. Excellent. Okay, now here in Gold Coast Dharma Realm, we've got some housekeeping, which is to say we've got lovely headsets so that we have an on-site translation happening right here as well. So Chinese speakers can put on earphones and hear my English interpretations retranslated into Chinese. How nice. Also, we have some news, which is next week, this lecture will not take place. We're going to cancel next week. The reason being that we have guests from China coming down to Sydney. So not only me, but our translator, Cliff, and I are both going down to Sydney to greet our guests coming from the Chinese Buddhist Association. So that's always a joyful occasion. But what it means is Saturday, this lecture won't happen. The next day, the Avatamsaka Sutra lecture will take place because we're coming back on Saturday evening. So just to you, those of you who regularly get an email from Chanyu telling you about news and giving you the link and all, that will also remind folks that next week, no lectures. So if you have somebody who is not attending today, but you know that they regularly come, please let them know. Next week, no lecture. I'll repeat this announcement at the end of our lecture today. Okay, good. Yeah, isn't this a lovely photo? Can everybody identify the birds looking at you from my desktop? Those are kookaburras, and they have the beautiful brown tail feathers and blue feathers for the males. This is a family. This is mom, dad, and baby. Baby is here on the right. That's right. Yeah, in that face, he's just 真的可爱哈。这个是家庭那个会笑之鸟kookaburra. Kookaburra up in the old gum tree. He can speak Chinese just like me. Laugh, kookaburra, 你笑什么？你笑洋人讲的中国话。哎呀，可怕。Okay, so welcome everyone. We've got the coordinator is in Fremont, California, in the Bay Area, but our Dharma requester is in the Southern Hemisphere in Brazil. Our interpreter, our translator, is here in the room with me in the Gold Coast. And we also have friends from Malaysia, from Sydney listening in, from Cascade, Colorado, up in the Rockies, from Campbell, Brian is here, Celeste is listening in from Hong Kong, Connie from Sunnyvale, Cook from Alameda, Duc Leban from Montreal, Quebec, La Belle Province. Oui, c'est ça. And let's see, Guojen is in Alameda, Jason is in Northern California, Jennifer's in Los Altos, Joseph is down in Sydney, Justin's in Round Rock, Texas. How about that? Katie is in Union City. Let's see here. Lai Ting is here from San Jose, I believe. Leah is in Waterloo, Ontario. Leonie's in City of 10,000 Buddhas, or Ukiah. Louis and Christine are in LA. Loya is listening from Singapore. Welcome. Mr. Lu from Liaoning. Mai is in San Francisco Bay Area. Let's see here. Maylene is in CTDB. Michelle's in Vancouver. Mingfang is in Taipei. Okay. Nini is in Manila. Welcome, Nini. Let's see here. Paul is in Pinole. Peggy in Calgary. Philip in South San Francisco. Ron is in San Jose, as usual. Sarah's in Memphis. Okay, Sheila's in Ukiah. Susan is here, Hercules, California. Sylvia from Seattle. Okay, Guoji is here from Alameda. Welcome, Guoji. Valerie from San Francisco. Willie from Virginia, YC. YC, the photos are coming, I promise. Okay, coming up. Yendo is here from Pleiku, Vietnam. I don't know where Pleiku is. I'll have to look on the map. 然后呢，那个中国人了哈，我们有朋友从呼和浩特、内蒙古、黑龙江、辽宁、安徽合肥、江苏兰城、辽宁西安，还有什么地方？安徽宿州、陕西宝鸡。安徽淮南市 ，OK， 山东北京，许昌河北，河南，河南，呼和浩特内蒙古的朋友 ，OK， 哈尔滨，let's see here， 浙江、南京、上海、辽宁、上海 and 长春 ，OK， wonderful, around the globe. This is so neat. Okay, let's see here. Today, we are still on 3 Steps, 1 Bow pilgrimage with Master Empty Cloud. And this is 1884. Huh, it's funny. 19th century. The hero of our story is 45 years old. And he's been saved twice now by the monk, the beggar, who, not quite a monk, I'm not sure whether Wenji, he's not a left-home person. He's got hair and he's got a hat, so he's a layman. But he showed up in the nick of time to rescue our hero, and Master Empty Cloud nearly died. There's no doubt about it. He had dysentery and he was saved at the brink of dehydration and blood poisoning from illness. So he is only been, he was saved from the door of death for the second time. But his vows are so strong that he would not rest, but he set out to bow. Now, for that reason, Master Wenji, who is secretly Clark Kent stepping into the phone booth to change into Superman, Wenji is secretly Manjushri Bodhisattva. It's not clear that Master Empty Cloud is aware of that. There's some question whether he was certainly grateful to this beggar who showed up in the nick of time with exactly what he needed to recover from illness twice. So that's where we begin today. The title is 减轻负荷倍速, doubling the pace once his load was lighter. Ready? Here we go. 19日伏击起香，从事荷物作时，皆有文机负担，公望只真存，并欲体强，有朝至暮，可拜45里。朝朝如是参拜，不知不觉，一物疲劳辛苦。至3月底，到太谷县里相寺，而四相顿空。Okay? Although the master was still somewhat ill, he started bowing again on the 19th. Since Wenji took both the jobs of cooking and carrying the bags, the master's extraneous thoughts had ceased. With no false thoughts, his mind was true. His sickness left him, and his body gradually became stronger. Day after day, he bowed from sunrise to sunset, covering about 45 Chinese miles per day. Probably, 3 Chinese miles to 1 mile. So about 11 miles a day, 12 miles a day. 13 miles, 14. Bit by bit, imperceptibly, fatigue no longer troubled him. By March, he'd arrived at Lixiang Monastery in Taigu County, Great Valley. Taigu is also one translation for Silicon Valley, interestingly, San Jose. Some people say Xigu, some people say Taigu. The 4 signs were suddenly empty. Here he is, Lixiang Si. Here is Wenji, the beggar, carrying Master Empty Cloud's baggage on his back. They've reached distinctly a Chinese architecture monastery. And Master Empty Cloud is bowing along up to the door of the monastery. Here are passers-by, local residents talking about what they're seeing. Okay, that's the illustration. Shifu's verse goes like this. 心之念觉真富贵，四欲断尽真福天，人我双旺真平等。I can't move this. There we go. 劳苦均空真愿王。When the mind, I'll try again. There we go. When the mind stops and thoughts cease, one is truly honored and wealthy. Ending selfish desires forever is the true field of blessings. If views of self and others are gone, there is true equality. To put an end to toil and pain, that's the true king of vows. Okay, so look at this poem. This is one of the sayings that Shifu would drop on us all the time. I mentioned a couple, maybe a month or two ago, that there is a real, there's a whole body of teachings that float through the monastery. They're not necessarily written down, they're not in sutras, they're not necessarily attributed to the Buddha. Instead, they're kind of in the tradition. It's the culture of the monastery. And Shifu would, of course, having been raised in a traditional Mahayana system, Shifu was completely versed in all of those traditional sayings. And he would drop them on us just left and right. And we had we got it cold. Shifu was bringing the entire fabric of the traditional monastic system intact and dropping it in San Francisco. So we couldn't distinguish, oh, was that the Buddha's words? Was that something that Shifu wrote? Was that just kind of what you say when you're trying to communicate to young monks. Here is one of them. 心直念觉真富贵，四欲端尽真福天. Okay? Now, let me show you again. It's mind stops, thoughts cut off, true blessings, wealth, and nobility. Now, is this a couplet? Not exactly, because Zhen is repeated, and Shifu would never repeat a word in a couplet. So it's maybe 2 lines from a verse, or maybe this is just one of those teachings. 四欲, selfish desire, cut off forever, true field of blessings. Okay, so these are what? Descriptions of the mind. This is the Chan school. The Chan school talking about cultivating the mind having an effect on the world around you. When your thoughts stop and when the mind stops and your thoughts are cut off, that's real wealth and nobility. Not money, not your surname or your father's job or income, but what's going on inside your mind. If we can stop our false thoughts, we have true 富贵. That's the goal, not amassing wealth or marrying into nobility or something. 四欲断尽, selfish desire ended forever. That's the real field of blessings. Again, the mind. So when we can put an end to selfish desire and we live constantly in a state of selflessness, of connection with the world around us, because we've seen through the illusion of the self, everything we do then creates blessings for others. The true field of blessings. That's the true Sangha member. So there's one of those verses, right? 信知念觉真富贵，四欲断尽真福天. Shifu would just kind of bring this up out of the blue every now and then, or in a Chan session, or when talking to somebody, and we would hear it. And of course, this is the kind of thing that sticks in your ear, not knowing that it came from the oral tradition of the Mahayana. And he to finish out his verse, he pairs that with me, or people and self and others, 2 of the 四相, 2 of the 4 hallmarks. When the self and others are both forgotten, that is the genuine equality of all dharmas. Your mind is in samadhi. Notice Jun is repeated. He's got Jun, 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 true. So a definition. What is wealth and honor? What is a field of blessings? What is impartiality? What is Yuan Wang, the king of vows? It's Lao Ku, Chun Kong. If you can empty out all suffering and see through it, put it down, you have made the true king of vows. So Shifu's verses, inside these four-line verses, there's a world of learning, of tradition, of culture, of Buddhist, the living Buddhist teaching, the living teaching of Dharma, as passed on by a master to his disciples. And Shifu brings it up, sorry about that. Shifu brings it up in the context of another situation where who's the teacher here and who's the student? Well, maybe the beggar Wenji is the actual teacher. Master Empty Cloud is his unwitting student. Notice that what Wenji did, this beggar, this mysterious individual, showed up and cooked a meal, gave him dysentery medicine, broke through the snow and said, "You can't bow to the ground, the snow's too deep, you can follow in my footprints. Just follow me." He broke the trail. Now he's carrying the bags. Oh, he also washed all of Master Empty Cloud's soiled clothing after a bout of dysentery, which just is stinky to the ultimate, because you can't, your body is basically locked into purge mode. So you're always running to the bathroom and you don't always make it. So Wenji the beggar did the laundry out on the snowy hillside. Here he is, carrying the dirty clothes, right? While the sick monk, nearly dead monk, is recuperating under the lean-to. So here he is, breaking the path. Okay, wonderful stories, just magical, right? This is a miracle story, definitely. Okay, now I want to make the point that to cover 45 Chinese miles a day, you have to bow like you're flying. This is, that's a long, what is that? 40, 10, so between 13 and 14 miles, Western miles a day. By contrast, I bowed 1 Western mile a day, slowly. And that was under instructions to go slow. And the process of bowing that myself and Marty, Heng Chao, did is very involved. There was something to memorize, something to say with each step, something to recite as we bowed down, something to recite while we were down, something to recite as we came up. And that really set the pace. 往昔所造诸恶业，皆由无始贪嗔痴，从神欲已知所伤一切我真觉忏悔. Stand up. 华严海会佛菩萨. Like that. So the pace of our bowing was set by the reciting that we were doing. Tim Testu, Bhikshu Hengju and Bhikshu Hengyo. Tim was very tall, physically strong individual, and he took giant strides for his 3 steps, and his robe was often flying behind him, kind of like a sail in the wind, and he bowed very quickly, and often if he was in full stride, he could do 7 miles a day, and that's bowing from sunrise to sunset. So Master Empty Cloud, to go 45 Chinese miles a day, just he must have truly been flying along. Notice in the story, his sickness leaves him when his mind is empty. Because Wenji's carrying the bags and cooking, Master Empty Cloud only has to focus on the bowing, that's all. And so his false thinking is pretty much empty, gone. And he's been sick. And when your body is exhausted, your mind is often quieter than usual. There's just no energy for false thinking. So with Wenji the beggar's help, he is in a new state. He's able to bow along with just weightlessly, right? And notice, not only is his illness going away, but his fatigue is now not a problem. Is it the influence of Wenji the beggar? I have to imagine that if you're bowing along and your Dharma protector is Manjushri Bodhisattva, it must be okay. It must be an amazing state. You kind of bowing in empty space. The 4 signs, suddenly empty. Okay, where is Taigu County? Taigu County is right here. Taigu County. Where, let's see here, let's try it again. Shanxi. Taigu Xian. Here we go. Yes, right there. everybody see Taigu Qu right here, this area. Now let's zoom out. We're in Shanxi province. Taiyuan is right here, and where do you suppose Wutaishan is? It's right there. This is the destination, Mount Wutai, and he is currently, as the story unfolds, he is Taigu. Okay, how to get two of these. There's a way to pin it down. Here's Wutaishan. Here is Taiyuan, which is kind of the closest big city. And Taigu is there. Okay, there we go. So he's got to go from, he is currently out in the boondocks here, and he's bowing up to the yellow spot, right? Having started down here. Umeishan, Putoshan is out here. So he's covered, this is he's into his third year now. And he's going all the way up here. Okay, everybody clear on that part? Here is Taigu Shan, right there. Okay, number 2 for the day. Here we go. Li Xiang Fen Shou Zhen Li Xiang. Saying goodbye at Li Xiang, he truly leaves appearances behind. Li Xiang means goodbye to the hallmarks, leaving appearances, beyond appearances. And it's also the name of a place, Li Xiang Si. Age 45, 1844. Here we go. Jin Si Jian Zhi Ke. Ling Wenji文曰：这位是你什么人？告已故。知客厉声曰：不达时务，饥荒朝神山。什么大老官要服侍，俗人不留。共欲去。知客曰：谁叫你来？文曰：我去不久，心里有人带你送上山的。继续。Trouble. The master entered Lixiang Monastery to find the guest prefect. That monk looked at Wenji and said, "How is this person related to you?" The master explained. The guest prefect replied harshly, "You are out of touch with the times. Do you think the middle of a famine is the right time to hold a pilgrimage? And with a man to serve you yet? What sort of important official do you think you are anyway? Laymen absolutely may not stay here." The master said, "We're leaving." The prefect replied, "Nobody asked you to come in the first place." Wenji said to the master, "Time for me to go, but someone will soon come to take your bags up the mountain for you." He then departed. Okay, now, there are episodes in this longer story that I've had questions about. The behavior seems unexplained. There seems the cruelty or the coldness is obvious in certain episodes. When Master Empty Cloud was refused lodging at before he got dysentery, Xiao Nanhai was the name of the monastery. That was one of them. How come they sent him away? Monks can't stay here. We explained at the time that it might be certain circumstances. Maybe the abbot was away and he left a young monk in charge, and the young monk didn't dare take a stranger in. It could be that there was illness, or it could be that they just had a policy that strangers couldn't stay. So, in any case, he was kicked back outside the city gates to sleep in the snow, and he got sick. Now here, this guest prefect, who's the guest prefect? He's the monk in charge of people who, all kinds of hospitality. That's his job, is to make sure that important guests are greeted, that questionable people don't get in, that everybody gets fed and cared for. That's his job. So he takes one look at Wenji, and somehow, now the question is, does the guest prefect have no affinities with Manjushri Bodhisattva? Is Manjushri Bodhisattva teaching everybody here by departing? What's the story? How come there's harshness? Why is Master Empty Cloud getting scolded? Okay? So the result of this encounter is Manjushri Bodhisattva, in the guise of Wenji, says goodbye. And of course, you want to say, no, 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 don't leave Manjushri. But, don't let this happen. And you can see that in the illustration, Master Empty Cloud is heartbroken. He really wants to keep the person who saved his life twice. He wants to stay close to him. Our guest prefect here he looks a little bit like an alien, doesn't he? He's got maybe that's just, yeah. So, but he's inexplicably harsh with the Bodhisattva, the mother of all Bodhisattvas. Okay. So maybe he's a bad judge of character, or maybe Wenji has a bad reputation. He's supposed to be from Wu Taishan, so it could be that there's a reason why. So, 不达时务朝蛇山，此地不挂苏人丹。温习当下离相去，不久有人送上前。You picked the wrong time to make a bowing pilgrimage. We have no room here to shelter lay people. On the spot, Wenji simply walked away from leaving Appearance's temple. Soon, someone will come to take your bags ahead, he promised. Right? You notice that at the slightest hint of a cold reception, Manjushri immediately, like, oh, no worries, I'm out of here. He doesn't argue. The affinities are not there, clearly. So, I thought it was interesting to check in with the, not that one, check in with Nianpu. Want to look into, there we go. This is the official record from which Shifu took his account. So, the Zhike, the guest prefect, harshly says, coming out to do a pilgrimage now is really badly timed. 这几年北地饥荒, here in the north, these few years, we have had a famine. What pilgrimage are you on? 朝什么山? This is really harsh. 什么大老官? You're putting on the airs of some famous public servant, 要人夫代, that you got a servant serving you? Huh. 一享受福. You're just trying to live a comfortable life, he says. 何必出门? Why did you even bother to come out at a time like this if you want to live comfortably? Of course, he knows nothing about Master Empty Cloud's near death, and he clearly doesn't recognize who Master Empty Cloud is. 你见何处司门有苏人寡丹? So he says, we do not allow lay people to stay here in our monastic quarters. So 教化我们后人善待他，不想 Right, exactly. Okay, so this is the encounter from Master Empty Cloud's own memory of it. 当下, 听起盒子, on the spot, hearing the harsh words, 不敢回声, I had nothing to say. 我认错告辞. I immediately apologized and got ready to go. So Master Empty Cloud was out the door as well. The guest prefect said, 岂有此理? This is nonsense. 由你自便, 谁叫你来? I never invited you here in the first place. Goodbye. Get out of here. Master Empty Cloud says, there was something wrong here. I knew that the affinities were not there. 即转过话说, so 这位文基先生请到客栈住，我在此打扰一旦如何? He's in the account, Master Empty Cloud is taking the part of Manjushri and saying, please stay here. I will. It's on me. I want you to stay. And我在此打扰一旦如何? So the guest prefect says, okay. I missed the point of the Chinese here, but Wenji says, okay, we're close to Wutaishan. I'll go first, he said. You can come at your own pace, no worries. Somebody will come down to get your bags. So this is the, Wenji is like making his exit, right? That's fine. I'll go ahead, he says, meaning I'm going to disappear. I really wanted him to stay, but couldn't convince him. Ganyin Chouyin. I would pay for his lodging, but he wouldn't take it, and he left. Okay, now this is where there's even more mystery. I won't. We'll read the original here. 孙文基月下拜香. Okay, here we go. 文基走后，至客改容曰请进，宋丹康上，斟茶食面，饮琴备至。公念文基，遂告辞。各旅店找寻文基，不见踪迹。始4月18夜，皓月在天如昼，共欲追文基。趁月光向前拜。Let's see here, I said it wrong. 趁月光向前齐拜，生火换脑热。After Wenji departed, the guest prefect's manner changed. Please come in, he said. He showed the master to a heated brick bed. He then prepared tea and noodles. His attitude was completely different. He was polite and attentive. But the master, thinking only about Wenji, immediately left. Just didn't bother. Going to all the inns in town, he searched for the beggar, but poof, no trace anywhere. It was the 18th of the 4th month, the moon was bright. That evening was almost like daylight. The master took advantage of the moonlight to keep bowing briskly along, trying to overtake Wenji. This accelerated pace caused inner heat to rise. He developed a fever. Right? So, oh my. Complicated, isn't it? There you are, 3 people only, and yet there's still, that's all you need to have conflict and misunderstanding. So, who was that mysterious beggar? So interesting. Here he is. Moon is breaking through the clouds. He's got his bag on his back and his patched robes, bowing along. Can't find his companion who saved his life twice and who's been with him all along. since he was sick. 前居后宫魔性天，虽留久未一元谦。一心追赶文伎伴，月下拜香锦瑟见。Watching arrogance turn to respect polished his nature. Although invited to stay, the affinities were not there. He wished only to catch his companion, Wenji. Thus, bowing along on that moonlit night, he felt agitation. So Shifu's verse is just restating the story. The guest prefect was obviously rude to Wenji, maybe because judging him by his clothes, maybe he just had no affinities with the Bodhisattva Manjushri. Maybe there's more here than we understand. But once Manjushri left, suddenly the guest prefect is very polite to Master Empty Cloud. And that would have been, if our hero was less of a junzi, he could have just accepted the noodles and the tea and the soft bed and spent the night. But he was not that kind of person. All he thought about was, my companion has been sent away. I owe him a debt, a life debt. I want to keep my connection with him all the way to Wu Taishan, but Manjushri is just that way. If you recognize him, you recognize him. You don't, that's just fine, no worries. So he bowed along behind him, trying to find him. And of course, the pressure's on Empty Cloud. He could run and look after Wenji, but he's on a pilgrimage. He has to bow. So he keeps bowing, hoping that his friend will show up once again. I tried painfully, I tried hard to get him to stay, even to pay for his lodging, but he wouldn't take it, and he left. After that, the guest prefect suddenly changed his whole demeanor, 和气松丹, with great politeness, courtesy. He showed me to my bed. He offered me tea on a heated brick bed and personally made noodles. He asked me to eat qi qi xu dong and let's see. He was very active, very polite towards me, and there was nobody else in the inn. So, 四当常住多少众? So I asked, 四间常住, how many people stay here usually? The answer was, 我在外江多年. I've been up here for many years. 回来住持. I came back. What's that? I was away for many years. I came back to be the abbot. 连年岁荒. There was successive years of famine. 仅留得我一个. So I'm the only one left here. 两亿吃吃. There's only this much food. 食材驱动是游戏而心无间. So I was a little bit too much for your friend. Please don't blame me. I was kidding around. I was playing around, he said. So Master Empty Cloud says, I was absolutely distraught at this. I didn't know whether to laugh or to cry because Manjushri had been sent away. I choked down half a bowl of noodles and then left. Okay, so we're gonna pause right there. the inside scoop of a pilgrimage from Putoshan to Wutaishan. Who would think that doing something as noble as and something as profound as this pilgrimage to Wutaishan would still run into personalities and politics and prejudices and blindness. This Zhike, because of his character, has 对面不是文书实力, right? 对面不是观世音. There's this phrase that says, right before your eyes you don't recognize Guanyin Bodhisattva. Well, right before his eyes, he didn't recognize Manjushri Bodhisattva. So that's the story. And poor Master Empty Cloud, who definitely owes his life to this unusual character, has now, because of circumstances, been separated from him. But that's completely consistent with the miracles that Manjushri Bodhisattva, his miraculous appearances. We have not been using our resource, which is Wen Shu Da Shi Yingling Lu. Let's see here. The let's see here. Song of the Skin Bag. This one here. Wen Shu Da Shi Yingling Lu. Wen Shu Da Shi. Editing files. Let's see here. I won't go digging for it today. But when we were in the early stages of the series, I would supplement with stories from this collection called Records. Let's see, the collected miracle stories of Manjushri, the great hero. Stories that have been collected about Manjushri Bodhisattva since the Han Dynasty. It's a small volume, but it's one of those incredible collections of miracles. And if you're a skeptic, if you're a religious skeptic, this will seem pretty far out there. But if you are an open-minded person who understands that science is a new discipline, and only in the last 200 years of human history have people been looking critically at matters of faith. Manjushri Bodhisattva's appearances at and around Wutaishan are matters of fact, matters of record. They've been happening regularly for the last 2,000 years. So quite marvelous. Anybody who is open to the inconceivability of bodhisattvas knows that Guanyin Bodhisattva appears most often. Earth-store Bodhisattva has the ability to respond as not just as a monk with a shaved head and a red cape, a red robe, but in the Earth-store Sutra, Earth-store Bodhisattva can appear as a field of flowers. He can appear as a calm lake. Transformation bodies, responses of Earth-store Bodhisattva are quite marvelous. Manjushri, however, is the one whose responses are truly miraculous, and what he is looking for is sincerity. Sometimes he appears as a little boy with 5 braids on his head. Other times he appears as a fierce general. I think one of my favorite, most memorable stories is about a pilgrim going to Wutaishan, just like Empty Cloud, who is out on one of the 5 peaks, and on the path, he went up to the top and he's coming back down, and he sees on the path bandits. Now, Wuhaishan, this area is in Shanxi province, is pretty remote, and there's a lot of poverty historically, and sometimes good men turn bad, and the countryside is plagued with bands of robbers. So this pilgrim is coming back down, and he sees these guys are ready to block the path. They've got weapons, they've got rakes and hoes and clubs, and so he's like, oh no, well, the best thing I can do is simply not fight. I'm a Buddhist, I shouldn't fight. So he says, however, being a Buddhist, I'm going to recite. So he starts to recite Arapachana, the mantra given to Manjushri Bodhisattva. And he's just reciting with a single mind and walking closer and closer to the bandits. And when he gets about 20 feet away, the bandits all stare over his head, and 4 of the 5 of them turn and run. They run the other direction, just terrified. Their eyes are wide and they're running for their lives. The last one kneels on the ground with his palms together and says, please, please don't hurt me. Please, please don't hurt me. And so the pilgrim says, don't hurt you. He says, what? He says, behind you, that massive warrior with his sword flaming, his eyes with flames. He said, I just please save my life. So the pilgrim says, gee, I don't know, sure, no problem. Let's all take refuge with Dharma. So Manjushri Bodhisattva appeared behind the pilgrim as a fierce general to destroy evildoers. So that's the story, how Manjushri Bodhisattva appears. And in this case, he appears as a beggar to our hero, Master Empty Cloud. All righty. I wanted to let everybody know that tonight, it's Saturday here in the Gold Coast, it's Friday night in California. We have a lecture. It'll be, for those of you in North America, it's going to be pretty late at night. It's 7 to 8 p.m. Here, Dr. Zhang Shuyi is going to lecture on traditional Chinese medicine for 4 seasons health. Master Hua Shifu always invited talented scholars of Chinese medicine, Chinese literature, Chinese culture, even yoga teachers, acupuncturists, and all, to come through the university to lecture at Gold Mountain, at City of 10,000 Buddhas. Here at the Gold Coast Dharma Realm, we're doing the same because we have a good Dharma friend here who is not a Buddhist, he's a faithful Christian, but he is a man of interfaith, and he is also the president of the Chinese Medicine and Acupuncture Society of Australia. So very learned, and his specialty is Liu Yun Qi, right? Wu Yun Liu Qi, Wu Yun Liu Qi, 是吗? Wu Yun Liu Qi, right? How the different humors of the body correspond to the seasons of the year. So anybody, the lecture will be in Chinese with English translations and a slideshow. If you get this Zoom ID, you are welcome to listen in tonight on Zoom. So that'll be 7 p.m. here, Australia time, 5 p.m. in China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia. So here is the Zoom number, and that's going to happen. Now, Sunday, kids workshop here in the Gold Coast. Anybody who sees this watching from the local area, I'd like to bring your kids. 8:30 to 11 tomorrow morning. There will be king parrots and wallabies. Yes, indeed. All right. What else we got? 7-day Chan retreat camps. Okay. That's just to let folks know about some of our events that are happening. If you would like to go to the website and discover this yourself, I'll put it right here. Maybe Chun, you can send this, make sure everybody gets this. That's where you'll find these announcements yourself. Look at the chat box for the link. All right, we're now going to dedicate merit. And I would like to, I've heard that COVID is on the return, and somewhere down in Latin America, is it Venezuela, there is, maybe it was Argentina, there's a new virus that has suddenly taken a lot of people down. So this is these coronaviruses have not disappeared. So we'll use our Buddhist method of countering illness, which is medicine Buddhist mantra. Please make a wish however you would like to dedicate your merit. I'm going to recite medicine Buddhist mantra and try to purge the karma that creates coronaviruses and strikes people down. Samyak Sambuddhaya Tathata Om Asaje Asaje Aisaja Samukate Swaha. I need to repeat what I teaching away. Next week, no lecture. We will be down in Sydney with the monks from China. So please tell your friends, next week, no lecture. 下个礼拜了哈，就把这个讲座呢，因为本人要去欢迎从中国来的和尚嘛，所以呢，下个礼拜呢不讲，再下个礼拜继续讲。OK， 请你们告诉朋友啊。Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Okay, 到此为止. That'll do it for us for today. 阿弥陀佛. See you in 2 weeks, everybody. 阿弥陀佛.